college football. Stop what you're doing. This is the Nitro College Football Show. I'm Burl.
And I'm Streit.
And tonight we are talking week 2 of college football. We are over and underreacting. We'll give you our Nitro CFB top 10 and our week 3 predictions. So like and subscribe, and let's get into it. This is the over-under. All right, so over-under, we just talk about whether or not we're overreacting or underreacting to whatever the situation might be. So we're going to start with one of the most shocking games of the weekend. South Florida beats Florida, which is nuts. So fire Billy Napier. Is that an overreaction or underreaction? But let's talk a little bit about it first. So South Florida absolutely shocked the world. I was actually really tempted to put that game on our predictions last week, but I don't know. I heard somewhere that their quarterback was hurt or suspended for the first half of the game. So I was like, I'll leave it out. But turns out he got to play like the whole game. And man, what a difference that made.
Yeah. So I think the thing to look here is Alex Golesh. He's probably going to be a coach in the SEC pretty soon. This is his third year there, and he already, had tough games against Alabama twice, and now he's knocked off Florida. This is a guy who was an OC at Tennessee, under Heupel. So probably be seeing him in the SEC pretty soon, but yeah, what a big win for South Florida. And really 2 big wins in a row, right? They beat Boise State last week.
Yeah.
So you've got a team in South Florida that's got 2 wins over ranked opponents already to start the year.
Yeah, and that has propelled them into the top 25, coming in at 18, which leads to a great matchup this weekend, which no one saw coming. But the big story of the game was DJ Lagway. He didn't have his best game. There's a lot of talk from other pundits saying that he looked like a player that has missed a lot of practice.
Yeah, and I think that's something we've been saying, right?
Exactly. That's exactly what we've been saying all year.
Everybody who was ready to anoint him the Heisman when he had 12 touchdowns and 9 picks last year and around 60% completion, and then proceeded to miss spring practice and miss summer practice. That sounds like a guy who could need to work on some things. And yes, immensely talented for sure, but he completed 67% of his passes yesterday. But there were a couple times where bad mechanics, he threw a pick, just some other things made you wonder if maybe just a little bit more time of practice and maybe he makes those plays correct. Because Brooks Austin did a big breakdown today of some of his mechanics, and there's definitely things that could have been fixed with a little practice.
Practice? We're talking practice? So, yeah, that's obviously something we've talked about a lot in the off season, because we're pretty high on Florida going into the season, even though, you look at their schedule and it's a murderer's row and they're about to hit that gauntlet right now. So this loss is awful for them. But a lot of people are throwing out, look at what happened to Notre Dame last year against NIU, and they lost and they rattled off all the wins and got them into the playoff. There's a big difference, though.
There's quite a big difference.
The schedule that Florida is playing is immensely tougher than what Notre Dame had to play.
Right. Does Florida have any games left on their schedule that are not against ranked opponents?
I don't think so. maybe like the FCS team near the end of the season.
Right. Well, they already got that game out of the way. They've got Miami and Florida State left out of conference. So they don't have that cupcake. That was last week, and this was supposed to be it. So they've got their 8 SEC games, and then they've got Miami and they've got Florida State. So there's no more gimmies left on the schedule.
No, but football in Florida is fun again.
That's that. Yeah.
It
I
really
mean,
is.
what you all is Florida the fourth worst team in the state of Florida?
Yeah, I think so. UCF's pretty good, right?
Yeah, but I mean, you got Miami and you got Florida State and
You
you've
got
got
South
South
Florida.
Florida.
Yep.
So all of those schools are better, have a better claim than Florida right now.
FIU, they're better than them.
I don't know about. Yeah. Yeah.
Now Lane Kiffin, FIU, I don't know. Maybe different.
He was Florida Atlantic. He was FAU.
Oh, FAU.
Yeah,
FIU.
I mean, I think
FIU, FAU.
but just a little bit more this game. I mean, how did Florida lose this game? Penalties and settling for field goals, right?
Yeah.
Florida for its, for Lagway, who, like I said, completed 2/3 of his passes, as a team, they only ended up with 355 yards. And they settled for field goals until they finally scored a touchdown there in the second half to take the lead. But penalties were a problem.
Yeah,
103 yards.
Especially at the end of the game. We had I don't know if this is becoming a thing. It's going to be an epidemic because there's always like that one thing each year that is just so dumb, but people continue to do it. Like last year, it was dropping the ball right before you cross the end zone. This year, it's spitting.
Yeah. So, like I said, Florida had its chances to win this game. South Florida went for a 58-yard field goal that they missed earlier, but they were able to get it down the field after those penalties. They got it down to the Florida 2-yard line. So it was just automatic. And look who made the field goal. It was Nico Grammatica. There's another one of the Grammaticas.
When I heard
the legacy lives on.
When I heard that name, I did a double take. I was like, did he just say Grammatica?
I just hope he didn't hurt himself celebrating.
Oh my gosh. He almost made that 58-yarder.
Yeah.
It was close.
I'm assuming those are his dad, uncles, something related, because they would certainly try that field goal too.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he almost got it. I mean, if he was in a higher elevation, he probably makes that.
Yeah. So back to your question. Fire Billy Napier. Is that an overreaction or an underreaction? What you think?
Given his track record at Florida, I don't think it's I don't think it's an overreaction. It's an underreaction.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that he has made it to today, frankly.
I'm going to take the other side of the page. I'm going to say it's a little bit of an overreaction simply because Florida still has a chance to redeem itself because of their ridiculous schedule. If he pulls some upsets over the next few games and can get this team to an 8-4 season, even though that's losing 3 more games, but if he can somehow get them to an 8-4 season, I don't think he gets fired just because of the schedule facing ahead of them and where they are. So will he be fired? I think he's probably going to be, but is it a underreaction to say he should be fired right now? Yeah, I think so. I think, is it an overreaction to say that he's definitely going to be fired? Right now, I think it is, just because I think they still have a chance to right the ship.
And that's a fair point. I just don't see it happening. The schedule is just, it's ridiculous. Yeah. It's ridiculous. Now, if he does turn it around and they somehow make it into the playoffs, then he'll get an extension.
Right.
Who knows? I don't think it'll happen, but yeah, time will tell.
Yep.
Okay. On to the next big game of the week, which was an awesome game. This was a fantastic game. So Michigan at Oklahoma. Oklahoma pulls it out, and they looked really good doing it. So the question is, Oklahoma is a national title contender. And it was awesome to watch them. And both teams actually played pretty well. Bryce Underwood, you saw the freshman mistakes there,
Yeah.
but he's still very good. And Justice Haynes had that long run, 70-something yard touchdown. Oh, I mean, Michigan's not really going anywhere. They're legit.
No, Michigan's not going anywhere at all.
Yeah.
This was what we said we thought may happen, and that this was a true freshman quarterback playing his first road start in a hostile SEC environment at night. Like, what did you expect? You know, you can say, oh, he's the best freshman quarterback, and he's the number one in the country and all that. But going on the road in the SEC, what does Kirby always say? The hardest thing to do is
winning on the road
in the SEC, right? And so Michigan got a taste of that. And Oklahoma's defense stepped up. Napier has been everything that they could have hoped for. He's not the guy he's not afraid to take chances, right? He's an exciting player. He had 270 yards passing and 75 yards rushing, 3 touchdowns. Like, he's doing what they wanted out of him. And there's a reason they were quick to push Jackson Arnold out the door and go get him.
Yeah.
He's fitting in well, but I think the key.
He's different. He's different. I mean, I enjoyed watching him play football. And I texted you this, and I think I tweeted it too, but he might be my favorite player of the season this year. Just by his play on the field, he just looked like he had so much command of what he was trying to do. There was no indecision. He made things happen when there wasn't anything, and he wasn't afraid to stick his head down and lower his shoulder.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think for Oklahoma, I mean, the as good as Napier is, I think it's the defense that has to make them really excited going forward. I think if you have a concern for Oklahoma the rest of the season, after this game, they're now -4 in the turnover margin, and that's not sustainable, particularly in conference play in the SEC. You can maybe hover around even, but you can't be going -2 in the turnover margin every game. So that's something that they do need to get cleaned up. But
true,
they look good on offense. They look good on defense. They've got some momentum. They've got tough games, of course, down the road. They've got Alabama. They've got Texas. The schedule doesn't get any easier, but
Auburn.
This was a huge win for them. This was a huge win for the program, for them to really submit their status in the SEC, because last year was a struggle, right? They beat Alabama, but they didn't. Alabama was a little bit off. They didn't have that true moment.
They didn't have an offense last year. They had a defense, and with Brett Venables, it's kind of like the same thing with Kirby Smart. As long as he's there, you're not going to worry about the defense. So what did they do? They went, got a coordinator and his quarterback, and that seems to be the right transfer combination for quarterbacks coming into a new school. It's worked wonders at a couple of schools now.
Yeah. So you mentioned on the Michigan side, Justice Haynes continues to look great so far in the early season.
I'm still pissed he didn't go to Georgia.
Yeah, I still don't understand that too, because Veron is such a Georgia guy and is around the program. But
legend, hobnail boot. I mean, come on.
Right. But 2 games, 284 yards, 4 touchdowns, 8.1 a clip. He's looking like what they expected he was when he was coming out of high school. So for Michigan, stay the course, continue to play well, and continue to build around that quarterback, get him more experience, continue to play defense. I think Michigan will be okay. But if it comes down to the end of the year and these two teams are fighting for a playoff spot, Oklahoma just got a leg up.
Yeah, they did. I'm loving what I'm seeing from Oklahoma. I said last week that if they could find an offense, they were going to be really, really dangerous. And I think without a doubt, they found an offense. And John Napier is going to be one of those guys that is going to be in the conversation for the Heisman at the end of the season.
Yeah. So you asked the question, is it an overreaction or underreaction that Oklahoma is a national title contender? And I think I'm going to speak for us both and say that's an underreaction. I think they got a shot. They're going to show themselves in a couple of weeks, particularly when they get to that Red River rivalry with Texas. But yeah, I think they are putting themselves in the conversation now.
You mean Red River shootout?
What I call it, the rivalry.
Yeah, you called it by the correct name, the politically correct name.
Oh man, I've been reading too much stuff.
Yeah. I had to call you out. I had to call you out on that one.
Hey, if I start calling the cocktail party the St. John's, whatever the crap it is, or the battle for the Okefenokee ore, then you.
Hey, I'm impressed that you got all 3 words out without messing them up, because that's hard to say.
Yeah.
Rivalry is kind of a hard word to say, period.
True.
maybe it's just hard for us Southerners. I don't know. But yeah, Oklahoma, they're legit. They might even have a shot at the SEC.
If you're going to win a national championship, you got to be there. So
it's true. All right. So next kind of shocking game that we saw this weekend, Arizona State traveled down to Mississippi State, and somehow, some way, Mississippi State won this game. They beat Arizona State, who we've been very high on. We've been big proponents of Arizona State, and I feel hurt a little bit by this. You know, I'm happy for Mississippi State that they any win that they can get, it should be celebrated.
Well, you know what though? After this win, they've got 2 more cupcakes before they start into their SEC schedule. So they're probably going to be a 4-0 and potentially a ranked team by the time they start SEC play.
Man, Brandon Walker's going to be doing cartwheels.
Yeah, I bet he is.
So the question is, since Mississippi State, of all people, beats Arizona State, and it was close, but it wasn't like a fluke win, right? So does this mean that Arizona State is a pretender?
Well, let's look what happened in the game. Mississippi State got up 17-0 early, and then Arizona State kind of, as sometimes or a lot of times happens when you have a team that has a little bit better confidence in its program at the current minute, they start making it coming back, and they were able to take the lead, but Mississippi State got the crazy play it needed at the end there, right? They got that 58-yard touchdown with about 30 seconds left to get the win. And
Anthony Evans, right?
Did he catch that game-winning touchdown?
I don't know if he caught the game-winning touchdown. I know he's their leading receiver.
Yeah, he was. I don't think he caught the game-winning touchdown, but he was their leading receiver in the game. But I think this says less about Mississippi State and more about the Big 12 as a whole. They had some high hopes yesterday. Kansas was playing Missouri in the border war as well. Kansas was winning in the first half, and then Missouri kind of just blitzed them and ended up winning by 10 or 14.
Kansas dominated that first quarter. I mean, it was like 21-3 going into the second quarter.
So, Missouri kind of sticking out their chest, taking down a rival from the Big 12. This happening, Kansas State, who was my preseason pick to win the Big 12, lost to Army.
Which was awesome. I thought you might also like that, though.
So, it's that was a week after Army lost to Tarleton State. So,
hey, nobody messes with Tarleton.
Yeah. So Arizona State is a pretender. I think that's an underreaction because I think the Big 12 as a whole on the national stage is kind of a pretender.
Yeah, I'm seeing that too. And I don't think you could really tout the Baylor win over SMU as the Big 12 is making a statement there. I think it just shows that SMU is just not that great.
Right. And in that game was what? There was 2-3 overtimes, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
it was a wild game. It was fun.
yeah. What it does show is it makes Auburn's win over Baylor earlier in the year look better.
It does. It does. It does. But yeah, I agree. I think it's an underreaction. Even if they went out the rest of the way, which they might, they totally could. They could win the rest of their games, dominate the Big 12, make it into the playoffs. I don't think they go very far. Yeah.
Yeah. I like I said, I just unfortunately, I was hoping, that this year the Big 12 is going to be competitive, right? But I just not seeing the standouts, unless it maybe is this Texas Tech team that bought all these players, which they seem to be scoring crazy amounts. I just don't see it right now. I just don't see the top of the conference isn't looking that strong. Iowa State eked out a win over Iowa in a typical Iowa score game, but I just don't see it right.
Yeah, I think Iowa State's probably at the top of the Big 12 in terms of just like the best teams.
Yeah.
Even though that was a really close game, it is a rivalry game. We've seen crazy stuff happen.
I mean, like I said, it was an Iowa game. What was the final? 16-13? I mean,
yeah. It was won with a field goal.
I mean, Kirk Ferentz was happy as could be. It's his favorite game, other than not getting the career record for wins in the Big Ten.
True. Well, he'll get it against somebody.
Yeah, they got to play like Northwestern or somebody soon.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of Big Ten teams that are just not very good.
Yeah.
Okay, speaking of not very good, we saw a very poor performance down in Death Valley, the other Death Valley. Troy rolls in to Clemson and is really dominating them for most of the game until Clemson finally rallies late to come back. But the Clemson did not look very good in this game at all. And the first thing that came to mind to me is, okay, they lost to LSU, and that lost to LSU, they could have lost by a lot more.
Right.
And so you had that, and then they come out and just lay a egg, and then that's being nice in the first half. And so I'm thinking, is Clemsoning back? Is that a thing again?
So, I mean, the start of the season here for Clemson gives me a lot of 2021 vibes, where they started the year with that loss to Georgia and that tough defensive struggle, and things just went downhill from there. And we're going to know real quick because Clemson gets to play Georgia Tech, and we'll talk about it in the previews, but we're going to know if they are weak and not motivated or not, because Georgia Tech, no matter what you think of them, they're going to come in and put up a fight. Clemson's coming to Atlanta to play them next week, so we're going to find out real quick if Clemsoning is back in 2025, or they still have a shot to be an ACC title contender, which I think the talent is there. I think just like last year, they can look bad at times and then all of a sudden turn it on. I thought it would probably be this week against Troy. It wasn't, but you know what? At the end of the day, they won by 11 points. They were able to turn it on when they needed it in the second half. And they were down 16-0. So, I mean, to answer 16-0 with 27-0, it's nothing to slouch at. So,
yeah. And they weren't the only team to play a lesser opponent and not look good.
Right. So, is Clemson back? I'm going to say that's an overreaction at this point.
Me too. I think it's an overreaction. They're still loaded with talent. The ACC is absolutely up for grabs, especially after watching that Louisville JMU game.
Right, Louisville. They didn't look good there. SMU lost.
Yeah,
Clemson on the ropes. So
I was shocked at how Louisville played, honestly. But yeah, I think it's overreaction. We'll know for sure this coming weekend against Tech, hands down, because I think Tech is the ones that coined the phrase
They may have.
Okay, so speaking of teams that did not play up to expectations, we'll say, against lesser opponents, to put it nicely, Austin Peay rolls into Georgia, and Austin Peay's D-line said, "Oh, Georgia's offensive line is huge. So what?" They don't care.
Well, they said it. They said it a couple of times. Everybody's going to point to the goal line stand, right? And that was bad. But Georgia also ran for 190 yards in this game and looked really good running the football at times.
Yes.
You know, I would be more concerned with the pass protection. And you could say that, yes, Georgia was missing 2 starters on the line. They had another, some other guys, John Jackson got hurt at one point.
Yeah, I'll touch on that in a second. The run game is absolutely there, which is awesome to see because we couldn't do that last year.
Right.
But the big question mark coming out of that game was the quarterback play. Gunner, on paper, had great numbers, but he didn't complete a pass over 15 yards. So is it a overreaction or underreaction? Then maybe Ryan Puglisi should be the starting quarterback of Georgia. Because this is what everybody's talking about this week.
It's an overreaction.
Yeah, we'll just jump to it. Yeah.
There's no ifs, ands, and buts about it. It's an overreaction. and I'm going to give you a couple of reasons why. Okay. Number one, you're Kirby Smart. You're going into a season where you know that come week 3, you've got to play at Tennessee with a first-time starter quarterback making his first road start. Okay. So first 2 weeks, you don't want to kill his confidence at all, right? So what's the one thing you could do to kill his confidence? Have him throw a few picks against a really bad team that you should be beating. The play calling was very conservative in the first game. It was even more conservative this game.
It really was. It really was.
Georgia had over double the amount of yards that Austin Peay did. They held Austin Peay to like 190 yards total. Georgia had 190 yards on the ground. They threw for 230. It was just, there was a couple things that prevented this game from being what it really should have been. 28-6 final. Probably the game was more like 45-13, if we're going to be honest here, because yes, Georgia got a goal line stop too. So you say both teams get that goal line, get touchdowns there, but Georgia, first drive of the game, they're moving the ball. First 2 plays, Nate Frazier fumbles. Immediately kills, the momentum. They get the ball back, they score touchdowns next 2 times, just fine. A second half, they come out to open the second half. Austin Peay goes 3 and out. Georgia gets the ball back, goes the entire length of the field, scores a touchdown.
Which that was an awesome drive.
Yeah, it was 99 yards, right?
99 yards.
Yeah,
I don't care who it's against. 99-yard drive is awesome.
Right. And they get the ball back, and they're moving the ball again, and London Humphreys fumbles. So like every time that they got that momentum going, that typically happens in these games where you have an overmatched team, they would do something stupid that would mess it up. Penalties weren't really a problem. They only had 3 penalties in the game, but just, it was that. And it was lack of downfield passes. I mean, there were so many screens and everybody yelling at Bobo, and but I think that's what Kirby wanted. I think Kirby didn't want to take anything down the field that much because they just didn't want to kill Gunner's confidence. Now,
well, I think it's also you don't want to put too much on tape.
Right. But that being said, there were a couple of times when Gunner made mistakes.
Yes.
And he seemed shy to throw the ball. There was, I think Brooks Austin said there was like 5 throws that would really make you pull your hair out. A couple of them he checked down, so that's okay. He checked down, got yards, but there were a couple of them he had some guys wide open. There was one particular play, I think it was a 3rd down. Gunner kind of got flushed to his right, and he's got a wide open guy like 10 yards down the field, and he ends up like just throwing it away. Like, settle down, look for your guys. There were 0 targets to the tight ends the whole game. It was a sloppy game for Georgia. 28-6 is bad, and everybody's all up in arms about it. Probably really wasn't that bad. Georgia was really in control of the game. I think the worst thing that comes out of the game was Ethan Barbour breaking his leg. That sucked.
That was awful. That was awful.
I mean, that was at the end of the half when we got stuffed on the goal line, and like that was just bad. So you take that out. It was also a weird game because the lightning delay at halftime and everything, but
everything was weird about that game. Got moved up an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 90-minute delay. Yeah, that shot of the lightning was nuts.
Yeah. So a couple of things to be encouraged on. Georgia did get an interception. Ellis Robinson's first career interception was good. They did pick up 2 sacks. The one by Chris Cole was freaking awesome. If you haven't watched it, I mean, he just blows right by the dude, and that's what that guy can do.
I loved his little like stutter step kind of juke that he did.
Yeah,
it's like deked him.
so some encouraging signs on the defensive side of the ball. Don't get worried too much about the offense. I think we're going to know a lot more this week when they go to play Tennessee.
For sure.
But it does concern me, and we will talk about it more in the preview, that we haven't opened it up at least a little bit down the field. But
yeah,
should Puglisi be starting? That's an overreaction, man. Yes, Puglisi would probably pull the trigger more, but he'd probably also throw more interceptions. And I don't think you have seen enough, and I don't think Kirby let Gunner have enough leash to really show what he can do. So to me, that's a complete and total overreaction.
I do too. And any dog fan that's out there saying otherwise, too much. Trust Kirby.
Right.
We've been through this. We've talked about this a lot in a lot of our shows. Trust Kirby. Remember Stetson Bennett? Everybody was all like, oh, JT. I was one of those guys. I was wrong. I admitted it. And that's a sign of growth as a human being. So I trust Kirby. If he says Gunner's the best chance for Georgia to win, I believe it.
Yeah.
100%. The one thing that is really just driving me nuts is the pass protection from the offensive line. It seems like right now the run game is cooking. It's looking good. But for whatever reason, I don't know if it's Gunner just holding on to the ball too long or he just doesn't have time. It just seems like our offensive line is just letting guys through inexplicably.
Yeah. Well, I think you need Ernest Green and you need Juan Gaston out there.
They help 100%. They do. But last year, the excuse was, oh, injuries here and there, and we didn't have depth. Okay, whatever. That's all. You can't use that excuse for every year because everybody has injuries. Everybody's hurt.
Right.
You have a ton of offensive linemen who are all 6'7" beasts, massive men who are fast and athletic. And we're going against a team that's really tiny defensive line, right, and just let them run all around.
Yeah.
It was infuriating.
Yeah. I think part of it, having those guys hurt and having the inconsistency prevented the ability from Kirby to get, establish some guys on the line and then sub them in to get playing time. They just had to play guys and they had to mix match guys throughout the game. And that's bad because the one thing we know about offensive line, cohesiveness matters. And so if you point to, anything like you said, the pass protection and what concerns you going forward, it's that and the inability on that goal line where they just look, that goal line stand, they just look lost. Like Kirby seemed reserved to try to pass it in. And when that didn't work, like just take the points. I know it's Austin Peay, but just take the points.
Yeah. I did love his reaction that they showed on TV. Like, you can't get an inch.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That was to Nate Frazier on Nate Frazier's carry on like first down.
Yeah.
He should have gotten in, but
yeah, that was just a horrible sequence of execution by Georgia.
Yeah.
Okay, but yeah, Ryan Puglisi, love him, but it's not his time.
Not yet.
His time, Gunner's time is not up, and Ryan Puglisi's time is not now.
Yes.
There you go. Okay, so next we are going to jump to the Nitro CFB top 10.
Before you do, just a couple notes on a couple other things I wanted to point out that happened this week. Vanderbilt put a whooping on Virginia Tech, like really put a whooping on them, like outgained them by like 300 yards. Good for Vandy. They're looking strong. Alabama got their offensive going, scored 59 points. Ty Simpson, 17 of 17. If he had thrown some more passes, he would have broken Grayson Lambert's record. They put up 59. And then Ohio State looked great, got their offense going. So 3 good weeks for those teams going forward.
Yep. That Vandy win, that was eye-opener.
Yeah, they got one next week that we'll see.
Yep. But that was a lot of fun to see them just take it to Virginia Tech, come back on them, and put the gas down.
Yeah, really put the gas down.
Okay, so without further ado, we have our Nitro Show top 10.
You still got the bottom.
There we go.
Yeah. So this is our updated Nitro Show top 10. Coming in at number 1 this week, we've got Ohio State. I think last week we did our own list, but this week we combined them. I had them at 1 last week. You had LSU at 1. I think the evidence to move them up was because the problems that they had in week 1 they fixed. On offense, they moved the ball. They scored a bunch of points. We know what their defense is. They're defending national champion. So for me, that gives them the benefit of the doubt. They're home there at number 1.
Yeah, to me, really, the top 3 are interchangeable at this point.
Right.
They really are. Because, I mean, LSU, I think they're the most complete team in the nation right now. Just solid defensive play. They're great at quarterback. They can score points. It's just a balanced team. And then Oregon being Oregon, Dante Moore is nuts.
Yeah. The one thing I could say with LSU, and we saw it with Georgia, we saw it with other people, is they played down to their competition a little bit this week. You know, they only won 23-7 against Louisiana Tech, and just kind of a lazier game. So if anything, that's another reason that I would keep Ohio State up there, because Ohio State played bad, but really put the medal down and put up big points. So
yeah. And you got Penn State at 4. I thought Drew Aller looked really good this week. I mean, he impressed me with his arm strength. He had one deep pass that was a laser, and I was just like, wow, I didn't know he had it in him.
I mean, he was a 5-star, top player in the country coming out of high school. So not surprising that he can do that. A solid win over Florida International, 34-0, getting the shutout, which is
FIU.
Good for them. They got their running game going, over 200 yards between Allen and Singleton, which is what you expect from them. So they were a little bit off, that in week 1. So getting back on the right track. They look good. We know they've got bigger fish to fry coming up. So back where they are, looking good.
Yep. And then we got Tennessee, number 5, Georgia at 6. We got that big game this weekend.
Yeah. So this is interesting, right? So Tennessee ahead of Georgia. Now, overall, and we're going to get this in the preview, I feel like Tennessee is a better team than Georgia? Or have they played better than Georgia up to this point? I think they've played better. But I don't know if they are better. And we'll talk about more of that in the preview.
Yeah. And then the team that has honestly made the biggest jump, Oklahoma, coming in at 7. And I fully expect them to keep rising throughout the season.
Like I said, it'll be that game with Texas, right? that'll kind of determine if they truly are on that national title contender path. If they can beat Texas in that rivalry game, A, that'll knock Texas down another loss, and B, it'll really, really boost their confidence and really continue to push them up. Texas at 8, I think, is a no-brainer. They came back. They had a good week. They were kind of joking around a little bit with San Jose State, and then I turned away on the TV and I turned it back on, and it was 28-3, and they were off to the races. Arch had a good day, but there was a little video of him looked like he might have some shoulder injury. I don't know. So we'll see how that shakes out.
Yeah, I will say one thing that is a positive and a negative at the same time. The Texas offensive line played great. They looked awesome. They gave Arch all the time in the world. And the negative part is Arch had all the time in the world. And he just sat back there. And when we're watching the highlights and stuff, the guys are saying, "Oh, they're so wide open." Well, you give someone 5-6 seconds, you're going to get open.
Right.
I mean,
with the talent they have, yes.
Well, exactly. But still, I mean, if you have that much time as a quarterback, and if you're decent, which by all accounts, Arch is going to at least be decent, right? Like he wouldn't be at Texas if he didn't have the talent. He can hit those open guys. So that'll be something to pay attention to moving forward. If when Texas plays another team that has a really good pass rush.
Yeah. So then at 9, we've got Miami. Another strong week out of Miami. Carson Beck completed 90% of his passes. So that marriage is working out pretty good so far. They got an interesting one this coming week with South Florida. So we'll see how that goes. And then at 10 is Notre Dame. And I think Notre Dame is in this spot at least for one more week. After this week, Notre Dame will either be firmly back in the top 10 or they might never make it back.
Yep. These first, like I've been saying, the first 2 games for Notre Dame is basically their season.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Solid top 10. Any other thoughts on the top 10 before we head on to predictions?
No, not right now. I mean, we had a couple, on here that we dropped out of this list that we discussed last week. Clemson, the lackluster game. I just felt drop them down a little bit. Obviously, Florida dropped, but I think it's a pretty solid top 10 right now. And you're going to know a lot this next week because Georgia, Tennessee's obviously playing. You got LSU, who's got a big game this week. Miami's got a big game this week. Notre Dame's got a big game this week. So you're going to shake a couple of these teams out, and a couple of them are going to solidify themselves really good this week.
Absolutely. Okay. So let's get into predictions. But first, before we jump into predictions, if you like this content, hit the like button, subscribe, become a subscriber of the Nitro College Football Show. It's the greatest college football show of all time.
At least my dad says it is.
Exactly. Okay. As I click around and find out here. And there we go. Okay, so our prediction results thus far for the season. Last week was not a good week for Streit.
No, I am doing horrible in all of the pick'ems that I do this year. I against the spread, not against the spread. It just is not going well. I'm thinking I'm inside my head too much.
Yep. I had a good week. I lost the one game I think everybody lost. The Arizona State Mississippi State game. Didn't see that coming. I was really close to putting the South Florida game on the predictions last week, but didn't because I was gonna take South Florida just because. If you know, you know. So right now for the season, I got 10 correct and Streit has 6. So we'll keep tabs on that all year, and we got to come up with some kind of prize or something.
Yep.
All right. So first game on the docket. Clemson versus Georgia Tech at Georgia Tech. We're going to find out whether or not Clemsoning is back. Who you got?
I'm going to take Georgia Tech in the points. I think Clemson's going to win at the end because I think they're going to win because of their defense. Because if Georgia Tech continues to use Haynes King like they did in the first week, he's going to be dead. He didn't play this week. They played Aaron Philo, who is a good quarterback. Don't get me wrong. He's probably one of the best backups in the country. And I think Georgia Tech's going to give them a fight. I just think Clemson's going to win the game, but give me Tech in the 13.5.
So you think Haynes King might not play this weekend?
No, he's going to play this weekend. He didn't play last weekend. They held him out. They played Aaron Philo this last weekend.
Yeah, because they didn't want Haynes King to murder himself.
It's the only way he knows how to play, man.
I hope he makes it through the season. I'm going to go out on a limb on this one. I'm seeing it as a history repeats itself kind of situation. I think Clemsoning is going to be back. Tech, give me Tech to win the game. I think this is a storm the field game for Tech because they always have like 5 of those a year.
So you're picking Tech to win.
I'm picking Tech to win.
So I'm taking Tech, but I'm picking Clemson to win. So I'm taking Tech in the points.
Yeah, I'm taking Tech to win. They got the home field advantage. I know their home field advantage isn't much, but it's still something. And with as long as Haynes King is there, you know that they're in for a fight and they're going to keep, they're going to make it a good game.
Yeah.
And based off what we've seen from Clemson thus far, I think Tech has a really good shot at winning this game.
Okay.
All right. Next, Wisconsin travels down to Bama. And this is a 20-point spread.
I think it's only 20 points because Bama lost in week 1. Like, I think if it was, and people got so crazy about Bama in week 1, I think if they were, going with more of their heads and not with their emotional hearts, this would probably be like a 35-point spread. I'm taking Alabama in the points. I think Alabama's going to roll them. I think they're going to continue to do what they did this week because I think Kalen DeBoer wants to show that he can get the program back under control before they got to play Georgia in a few weeks. I think they're going to try to score all the points. Last year, they went up to Wisconsin and they played really well up there at Wisconsin, which kind of gave them that boost that they needed when they hosted Georgia. Mm-hmm. I think they're going to be under the same mindset. Bama has a bye week the next week, just like Georgia does before that showdown. So give me Bama in the 20. I lay the 20. I think Bama's going to win. Sorry.
Yeah, Bama all the way. Too much talent. It's at home. They're going to have Dixieland Delight playing. They're just too much for Wisconsin.
Yep.
I just hope Wisconsin can give them a game. Okay. So the biggest game of the weekend is happening in Knoxville, Tennessee. Your number 6 Georgia Bulldogs taking on number 15 Tennessee. Georgia, 6.5-point favorite.
Yeah, it surprises me a little bit.
Yeah, me too.
Just the way that Tennessee's played, Georgia underwhelming a bit. 6.5. You get 3 points on the road. So Vegas is looking at this as Georgia's 9.5-point favorite over Tennessee. I don't know about that right now. But let's take a step back here. Georgia hasn't lost to Tennessee since 2016. Georgia has owned this series more than almost any rivalry game that they have. The closest margin of victory has been 14 points. Georgia has not lost to Tennessee, and they have not beaten them by less than 14 points since 2016. And oh, by the way, the game in 2016 was lost on a Hail Mary. So this has
Man,
been a series that Georgia owns.
growing up, did you ever think that this would be the case?
No, because Georgia couldn't beat Tennessee to save their lives.
No.
So I think Tennessee, you know, they've looked good on offense. Aguilar fits, and they clearly have won the trade with UCLA for Nico
Yes.
because Nico looks horrible. I think he fits in their offense, and that's good for them. Their defense has looked okay, hasn't looked great, but has looked good. They're going to be missing their starting corners, Jermon McCoy, obviously All-American, he's out, and their other starting corner is going to be out too. So there's one area Georgia could try to exploit. It would be, you know, outside, but they haven't shown that, right? They haven't thrown the ball down the field that much. So it's going to be tough. This is going to be a tough game for Gunnar Stockton. We're going to find out real quick if Kirby really did hold back these first couple of weeks, or if the indecisiveness that Gunnar showed is going to be a problem going forward. This is a tough one, man. I think it's going to be a close game. I don't think it's going to be a 14-point win. Man. I think Georgia's going to win, but give me Tennessee in the points.
All right. I got you down for the dogs winning.
But I'm picking Tennessee in the points. So
Gotcha. So I think Georgia's defense is legit. So we're going to get another dominant performance out of them. Tennessee's probably going to have a few big plays just because they usually do. But if we can limit those big plays to just a few, then Georgia's going to be in the game. And then you couple that with the running game that we've seen. We have a awesome three-headed monster running right now between Frazier, Phillips, and Bowens. I mean, Bowens had the best run of the week this past week. That touchdown run he had was awesome. And we'll learn a lot about Gunnar Stockton and our receiving core. And I think Georgia has a good shot to make some noise on offense. Just going back and looking at that Tennessee-Syracuse game. Syracuse this past week played UConn and squeaked by. I mean, Fran Brown made his team run sprints afterwards. It was so bad.
It's awesome. I love Fran Brown.
But you know, they put up like 400 yards of offense against Tennessee.
Yeah.
So if Syracuse can do it, I feel good about Georgia's offense being able to do something similar and toss in an awesome defensive performance. We're going to get to see a lot of those, you know, shiny new toys on defense go at it. So give me the dogs on top all day.
All right. So up next, we have the backyard brawl, Pittsburgh and West Virginia. One of the nastier rivalries in all of college football. Famously, they like to sing "Eat Shit Pitt" at West Virginia,
which is awesome. That's my favorite.
This is the 108th meeting between the two schools. Now, Pittsburgh holds a huge advantage, 63, 41, and 3. But when I think about this game, I mostly think back to 2007, last game of the season. West Virginia is looking like they're going to be playing for a national championship, and they go to play Pitt, and Pitt wins 13-9. Pat McAfee famously misses 2 field goals, and the Juan stash got it done that night. But it's just one of those games. It's one of those fun rivalries because they just hate each other. And
yeah,
you know, West Virginia back under Rich Rodriguez this year. Pittsburgh was pretty good last year early in the year, and then, you know, they kind of stumbled down the stretch. I'm gonna take Pittsburgh to win the game here, even though it's at West Virginia. I just don't know if the Rich Rodriguez experience is gonna work out like it used to. So to me, Pitt seems a little bit better. They got a little bit better quarterback. So give me Pitt.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm Pitt all the way. West Virginia lost to Ohio last week.
Yeah.
I mean, that's tough.
Yeah.
I don't, and like you said, I don't think the the Rich Rod experience is really going to take off this year, but maybe in the future. It takes a little time to build a program, especially West Virginia. I mean,
right.
Not exactly like world beaters on the recruiting trail.
Right.
All right, another huge game.
This is a huge game for Notre Dame.
Notre Dame,
this is essentially their season. If Notre Dame loses this game, I was at a wedding last night. I was talking to a friend who's a Notre Dame alumni. He's like, yeah, we lose next week and we're done. Like, there's no shot we will have no good wins on our record because the rest of the schedule is weak in comparison. They have to win this game or their playoff shots are probably shot.
I agree. I think Notre Dame's going to win this game. Just keeping up with Texas A&M's games the past few weeks, it doesn't look like they have a defense. All their games have been decent games, and they probably shouldn't have been. And you would hope that their offense would just be, rocking and rolling with Marcel Reed, yeah. But that just hadn't been the case. It's been kind of okay.
Yeah.
So give me Notre Dame to take care of this and have a shot at the playoff.
Yeah, I'm going to go the opposite way. I'm going to take Texas A&M. So they beat Utah State 44-22 this week. They were up 30-6 at half. Utah State only had 250 yards of offense, only 172 through the air, and 78 on the ground. So the Texas A&M defense played really well against Utah State, but still. But Texas A&M has got everybody knew they were going to be a good rushing team, 235 yards rushing this last week, which is solid, but 319 yards in the air. So that says a little bit more. We knew they've got good receivers. Mario Carver had 114 yards receiving. Casey Concepcion, the transfer, had 2 touchdowns. You get him going. He was the big get in the transfer market. I like what Texas A&M's doing. I think their offense is good. I think their defense is going well. I think for Notre Dame, their back's against the wall, but I just got a feeling Texas A&M is going to be out for a little revenge. I know it's in South Bend, but give me Texas A&M.
Going out on a limb there.
Yep.
Yeah, I just the fact that it's at Notre Dame, I mean that's a huge leg up, especially with CJ Carr, young quarterback.
Right.
So, okay, so this is a fun one. I'm not really sure which way to go on this, to be frank. South Florida at Miami.
16.5 point spread, I think is the key there.
True.
Now, South Florida is maybe the only team in the country who's got 2 wins over ranked opponents. We know that they gave Alabama fits the last couple of years, and we talked about them earlier. Alex Galesh has got that program going. It's funny because Miami is further south than South Florida. But
South Florida isn't really in South Florida.
No, it's in Tampa.
It's in Tampa.
But Carson Beck's fitting in well there. Obviously, Miami had a lot of confidence coming off that win over Notre Dame. 16.5 is a big number, though, for somebody that's playing well.
That's a big number.
Give me Miami. I think they're going to score a lot of points, and I think that their defensive line that had Notre Dame in hell, that didn't give up that many rushing yards to that good Notre Dame rushing attack. Give me Miami. I think they're going to win. Give me Miami with the point or laying the points.
Yeah, I think Miami is going to win the game. I think South Florida is going to make it closer than what people are expecting. Just with the play of the quarterback, they've been playing tough defense, and I really like their coach. I don't know if you heard him after the game, but he reminded me of Brent Key a little bit. Yeah. Just this the way he was, his attitude and style and everything. So you're right. He probably is going to be coaching in the SEC pretty soon.
Yeah.
Maybe at Florida.
Maybe.
So yeah, give me Miami. I think I think this game will tell us a lot about Miami and where they're really at as a team, whether or not a lot of these throws that Carson's been making are, just by chance.
Right.
Because he's had a few just prayers he threw out there, and God bless him. Those receivers have been great for him.
Yeah.
A lot better than they were for him last year.
Indeed.
So yeah, I think it's Miami. Okay. Our final pick.
And then we have a bonus pick too.
That's right. We do.
Straight up. Yeah.
Yep. Florida at LSU. So going into this game prior to last week, this was circled. And maybe this is one of the reasons Florida, overlooked South Florida, is maybe they were looking ahead at LSU and not really respecting South Florida as they should have. So who you got?
9.5 is a lot of points. But it is LSU at home. And it's LSU at home at night in Death Valley. And I think the problems that we saw in Florida, if LSU's defense plays like it does against Clemson, this is a no-brainer. I think LSU's offense is better right now. Florida can certainly put up a fight. Florida broke their 5-game winning streak in the series last year. Man, this game is tough. 9.5 is a big number. I'm going to take LSU.
Yeah, I'm taking LSU as well. They're a legit great team. Most complete team in the nation, in my opinion. And it's at home. And I feel like Florida is kind of in shambles at the moment.
Just what they got ahead and losing that game this week. It went from all the hype, all the confidence in the world to like fire Billy, right?
Yeah. Yep. For real. But yeah, give me LSU. They're just too good.
Yeah. And our bonus pick, South Carolina is taking on Vanderbilt. And to this point in the year, Diego Pavia is outplaying Lenore Sellers.
He's outplaying a lot of quarterbacks right now.
Right. So the question is, who is going to win Vanderbilt versus South Carolina? South Carolina's 8.5-point favorite.
What was the line for Vandy, Virginia Tech? Because South Carolina opened with Virginia Tech, right?
Right. Yes, they did.
Yeah, and that was a tight game there till the end.
It was about 5.5 was the spread.
Okay. So that was 5.5. And we're going 8.5. Oh.
I'm going to take Vanderbilt in the points.
I want to pick Vandy to win this game so bad.
Yeah. I'm going to take Vanderbilt in the points because once again, South Carolina has a couple of fantastic, amazing players. But do a couple of fantastic, amazing players make a fantastic, amazing team? And I just don't know about South Carolina now. Like, South Carolina at 11 seems way too high right now. I think they're a good football team. I just don't know if they are that good yet. 8.5 is a big point spread, so give me Vanderbilt in the points.
So you taking Vandy to win?
I'm taking Vanderbilt in the points.
So you got South Carolina winning the game?
Not necessarily.
You got to pick one.
Well, no, I don't. I mean, I'm picking Vanderbilt in points. That means if Vanderbilt wins, I win. That means if South Carolina wins by less than 8.5, I win.
I know what that means, but the predictions results are just win or lose, man.
If I'm, yeah, I'll take Vanderbilt. Fine.
I love it. I love that pick. I want to pick Vandy so bad. I just think about South Carolina. Sellers is really, really good. It's a great environment at South Carolina, although hasn't really meant much to their records. Eight and a half's a lot. South Carolina. I'm going to go South Carolina.
All right.
As much as it kills me, I want Vandy. I want to pick Vandy so bad.
Yeah.
But I'm locked in South Carolina. Go
right.
Cox. All right. So that will do it for this week's edition of the Nitro College Football Show. Looking forward to this upcoming weekend. We got some great games, and we'll be watching them all. And look out for the Georgia post game, the Dogs post game after the game. Might be a little late, but it'll be good, hopefully.
Yep.
All right. So until next week, Sunday, 9 o'clock. I'm Burl.
I'm Streit.
Go Dogs.